Hey, YouTube Nation, this is Amanda Elo'esh, San Francisco's leading spiritual success mentor, and here I am all glammed up for you. Basically, I had something that felt really hot and fresh, and I wanted to share it with you, and so I'm all bundled up because my house got cold, and I wanted to stay all cozy. So please forgive this very casual nature of my presentation today. But what I wanted to share with you is actually really powerful. So I've been doing ceremonies. I offer sacred medicine ceremonies, healing plant medicine ceremonies, and I've done all manner of healing ceremonies, sound healing, and all different kinds of modalities for healing men and women's ceremonies. And I've learned a lot over the years. And one of the big lessons I've learned recently is that is about how to create a stable, ongoing container. So if you do ceremony on a regular basis, we do things like calling in the directions, and we create altars, and we bless the space. And there are a lot of things that are kind of almost ineffable. They're hard to describe how we hold a safe container, meaning how do we create a space where somebody feels like they can drop the normal veneer, the normal armoring that we have when we go about a regular day, and let our vulnerable side through and allow deep healing to happen. I'm really, really good naturally at holding a powerful container. It's very easy for me, and on some levels, I wouldn't even know exactly how to describe how to do that. It's something that you get to develop over time by doing your own healing work with groups. But there are some practical pieces to holding a safe, solid, sustainable container for healing ceremonies, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So one thing I've noticed is that when we do healing ceremonies, especially if it's a really powerful experience, like with sacred plant medicine, you're doing shadow work, you're doing something where we're really getting into deep wounding and letting it out, it brings up a lot of fear in people. And a lot of times people are kind of swimming around in their fear. Part of their soul is calling them to come to ceremony and do the healing work. And then part of them is their old fear that's like, I can't do this. It's too intense. It's going to be scary. Part of me is going to die. I'm freaking out. And so they don't want to commit. You put your event out there a month or even 2 months, sometimes even more than that in advance. And a lot of people say they're interested. They'll click they're interested in coming. They'll say, I'm totally going to come, but they don't buy a ticket. And what I've found is that when I'm creating ceremony, at the moment that idea comes, like I'm going to do a ceremony on this day, at this time, for this reason, I start to show up. I start to prepare my mind, my body, my spirit. I start to gather the resources. I start to put out the promotional material. I am getting ready to show up. I am showing up. And I'm creating that holding container for the people who are coming to ceremony right then. And what I found is when we don't ask our participants to make the commitment for us, we get very wobbly. So if I put an invitation out there to do a healing ceremony, and say my ideal is 15 to 20 women, and it's 3 days before the ceremony comes, and I have like 15 maybes and 2 yeses or something like that, it really is hard on my spirit because, first of all, I don't even necessarily know exactly what materials to prepare. I really don't have a solid idea of what the ceremony is going to feel like, or who I'm going to be holding in that ceremony. And even more important, which is a piece that a lot of healers tend to poo-poo, we don't want to admit, that financial piece. Like, am I going to be sustained? Can I go out and invest a couple $100s in materials and flowers and medicine in all the kinds of resources and materials I want to bring to ceremony, can I confidently do that if I only have 2 solid yeses? It's not that easy. And what I've noticed is that it compromises how I show up. Even though my soul is committed to be there, I may even know, like, I'm going to do this ceremony even if one person shows up. That doesn't matter. What's important is to ask your people who are coming to ceremony to make a commitment, and to make a commitment well before time. So I know it's like, this last ceremony that I did, I had so many women, like 15, 16 women who were like, I'm coming, I'm going to come, but I only had 2 people buy tickets. And then a whole bunch of women said, can I bring money with me? And I just believed them. I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, bring money with you. That's fine. And what I didn't realize was that's their way of giving themselves an out without making any kind of financial commitment. That's like this weird, like if you were dating somebody and they treated you this way, you would dump them. At least I would. It's like, I want you to be here for me. I want you to create a safe space for me if I feel like showing up. But I'm not going to offer you anything to make sure that you feel held and contained. And the reality is, if you're a real human healer, which I am, I'm a real human healer, there needs to be an exchange. I'm not Jesus. I am not a saint. I do not have the capacity to walk around in this world and give people what they need for their healing without asking for anything in exchange. I actually need to eat food. I really like to have a home that feels comfortable and safe, that holds my sacred altars, that I can rest in. I need to pay rent, and so it's essential that I have financial, so the thing that holds me, my safe container, is the money. And not too long ago, our ancestors who were healers, things worked differently in the village and our needs were taken care of, but things don't work like that anymore. And so the way that we make sure that us as healers sustain ourselves is to receive that money. And if we don't receive that financial security, and if we don't know it's going to be there for us, how can we fully step forward? How can I commit hours of my time to drop in and prepare for ceremony and create this luscious, amazing, like every time I do a ceremony, the women who show up are like, oh my God, that was profound. You're the real deal. And like, wow, what's going, yes, that's because I love what I do and I love showing up, and that's why I'm here. And I can't show up like that on a consistent basis if I don't absolutely know that I'm being taken care of. And the way that I'm being taken care of is the people coming are making a financial commitment. So that's my the overarching message. And then on a practical basis, what I'm doing is creating little tiers of passes to my ceremonies. So there's an early bird tier where, I'll let them come at like the very, very cheapest I could possibly, like at cost, basically. And I offer a certain number of those passes for a certain amount of time. And I let people know you can have that really amazingly affordable pass if you make that commitment now. It's not refundable because my time isn't refundable. And what I put into it energetically is not refundable. So it's not refundable. Be solid in that. I feel okay with that. If somebody gives you a sob story, that's okay. They can feel the sob story. I can tell you, just recently, I spent $100 on a healing ceremony that I couldn't go to. My circumstances shifted, and I happily was like, of course, I just want to support you. Can I give that ticket to somebody else? And they said yes. So somebody else took that place. It was my gift. So I didn't have a problem with it. And I don't have a problem asking the people who come to my ceremonies to make a commitment and to be okay if their life circumstances shift and they can't come, to know I'm already holding them. And they've gotten, quite honestly, I think when we say yes to ceremony, we start getting the healing from it, from that moment we say yes and make that commitment. So I have those tiers of like the very affordable, as close to my cost as possible to make it really affordable, limited number and limited time. And then just be solid with that. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to be solid with that. And then there's a second tier where it's like, yeah, you missed that cutoff date. You can still have a really great discount to come for showing up early, not quite as early as the early birds, but you get a nice little discount anyway. And then then there's a hard cutoff date for that too, and a certain number available as well. And then the rest are, this is the full amount. This is what my ceremonies are valued at. Even though they can be priceless, I'm putting a value on it, and that's what they're worth. And then you pay the full amount if you come late. And hold to that. The people say, I'll come, I'll bring cash with me. Like, they're holding the power. You're showing up for them, and they don't need to show up for you. And I just, like, it really hit home with so many people at the last minute who said I can't come. And I was preparing for them. I had invested money, I had invested energy, and it really took a lot out of my sales. And I still showed up and did it. It was a really beautiful ceremony anyway, but I realized that is a compromise to the container. And had enough women done that at the last minute, it would have been heartbreaking for me. I would have been like kind of doing the ceremony basically for free. And that's not fair. That doesn't work. And so it's really important that we value ourselves. I'm valuing myself. This is my, it's not a new practice, but I'm holding to it. I'm not going to make those like external, show up at the last minute if you feel like it. It doesn't serve anybody. It really doesn't serve anybody. The people who want to do that, they're in their fear. And making a commitment to come to the ceremony gives them support. They have your support if they make that financial commitment. They know they can come and get your help. They know that they can come and get the help of the other people who are committed to showing up and doing the healing work. So, and if they don't want to commit, then that kind of wobble probably isn't going to serve your ceremony. And so this past time, I had several people on the day of ceremony say, okay, I changed my mind, I want to come. It's like, no, I would love to have the money and I would love to have you be there, but no, it doesn't work anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. So I've created this video for the beautiful women who come to my ceremony. I've created this for any of you who offer ceremonies, who are ceremonial leaders. I'll probably figure out a way to post this after the fact, but I'm here in the Bay Area in Oakland, California. I do the Living Wisdom School. We do a monthly women's ceremony. It's sacred plant medicine, Wachuma. It's a legal sacrament with the Native American Church, which I'm a minister for. And I also do co-ed visioning ceremonies. I'm also going to be teaching the foundations of ceremonial leadership in Spain and Germany in September, the end of September. And I'm going to find those links and send them because I'm being hosted in those countries. And so I'll post those links later, but look for those. Please comment if you have your own treasures of wisdom. Please comment. What have you learned about the practical pieces of creating a solid, stable, sustainable container for your healing ceremonies and events and other events? Because it doesn't have to be like called a ceremony. It could be a workshop. If you're doing transformational work in a workshop, same thing happens. When people if you let wobbly people in, it's a wobbly experience. That's what I've found. Yeah, it's better to really know what you're stepping into ahead of time, and to feel that solid container and know who's showing up for you and know who you're showing up for. It makes a really big difference. So that's my treasure today to share. I'm really grateful to have it feel really solid in my system. And yeah, so those of you who come to my ceremonies know there are awesome early bird discounts available, and when they're gone, and I won't be able to extend that just because out of what I just said. So I'm going to honor that. And that's it. Yeah, share your comments, share your feedback, and until next time, may the source be with you.